rapids. Experience has taught them that the river will deliver the small, old or injured right into their jaws. The gazelle is thrashed like a rag doll, ripped into manageable pieces. Several resident fish eagles have learned to pirate from the feeding crocs. With perfect timing, they snatch the meat before the catfish get to it. By early September, the migration is in full flow. At Middle Crossing, wildebeest arrive in their tens of thousands. The largest and oldest crocodiles have possibly hunted this river for over 70 years. They are arguably the most experienced wildebeest hunters on the African continent. Some actively hunt the wildebeest in deep water. Others wait below the rapids, knowing that the river never fails to deliver. A large herd of zebra has arrived at Bottom Crossing. Among the herd is a pregnant mare. The water is deep, and this crossing will require a supreme effort from her. Urged on by the herd stallion and exhausted by the effort, she struggles on. A large crocodile moves in on the tiring mare. It's certain to make an easy kill. Then, inexplicably, calls off the attack. Exhausted from the crossing and stressed from the crocodile, she manages to reach the opposite bank. The effort has stimulated her into early labor. Due to the trauma of the crossing, the birth has complications. The foal has become entangled. The zebra herd is forced to leave the mare to her fate. The sun sets over the dramatic scene at Paradise Crossing, the center stage to so many life and death dramas. By morning, a pack of hyena have disposed of the unfortunate zebra mare and her unborn foal. Nothing is wasted. Specialized teeth, jaws and beaks combine to consume every part of the zebra. Smaller jackal fight for a position in the pecking order. Those that have survived the crossing are free to feed on the rich grasslands, but danger is never far away. During the next few weeks, they must survive the daily barrage of land predators. It is a time of plenty, not only for the migrating herds, but also the Mara predators. This year, the Paradise Pride has timed the birth of their cubs to perfection. The good seasonal rains have ensured the wildebeest have remained many weeks longer in the Mara than previous years, providing a ready food supply. An additional 1 million animals are now grazing in the Masai Mara. To avoid competition for food, each species feeds on a different section of the same grass. In a well-structured feeding cycle, buffalo feed off taller, more fibrous grasses. Zebra follow them, cropping it down still further, creating feeding conditions ideal for the wildebeest and gazelle which follow. The grasslands thrive on the annual aggressive treatment. Not only does the addition of urine and dung provide vital natural fertilizers to the soil, but the herbivore's saliva also acts as a growth stimulant. In a symbiotic relationship, the grass feeds the animals and the animals rejuvenate the grass. The herds also assist other species. Cattle egrets benefit from vast numbers of grasshoppers, frogs and insects disturbed by the grazing herds. With well over 1 million animals consuming several thousand tons of grass each day, the plains would soon be knee-deep in dung by the end of their stay, were it not for the awesome cleaning service provided by dung beetles. The male dung beetles roll the dung into balls. Then, moving backwards, they push the ball with their rear legs to where they will bury the dung, thus providing the first nutrition for the next generation of dung beetles when they hatch. Savanna grasslands offer little cover for the grazing herds. Eyes positioned strategically on the side of the head, with elongated pupils for wide vision, assist the wildebeest to see the slightest movement of a predator. Once one animal spots danger, the whole herd is alerted. Predators' eyes are forward-facing bifocals, adapted for judging speed and distance when capturing prey. Wildebeest are bipedal for quick flight from predators. Each foot has only 2 toes, which extend to lengthen its stride so that the animal literally stands on its tiptoes. Their weight is placed forward, enabling them to accelerate away the instant a predator attacks. It's late October, and groups of wildebeest are beginning to make their way back to the Serengeti. As the level in the Mara River drops, hippos congregate into pools. Vicious fights break out between dominant bulls. In severe cases, death awaits the vanquished. Soon, feathered undertakers arrive to feed off the bounty. A large hippo bull can weigh over 1,600 kilograms. That is an enormous amount of meat for those that can access it. Nature's feeding succession is ruthlessly efficient. Alerted by the aerial scavengers, hyenas arrive on the scene. Their powerful jaws are the best equipped to tear open the hippo's tough hide. As night falls, some large crocodiles move in to partake of the feast. Wary of them, the hyenas wisely back off. A pride of lions from across the river, known as the Serena Pride, detect the scent of the carcass. To get to it, they must cross the river. They are wary of crossing the river, but hunger overcomes fear. A young lioness is pulled under by a large crocodile. Only the male is bold enough to get to the meat. In an enormous feat of strength, he pulls the carcass away from the water's edge. By morning, the hippo has been reduced to a fraction of its size. 24 hours later, all that is left is the skull. Over the next few days, storms drop heavy rain in the Mara catchment area. Practically overnight, the Mara River begins to flow strongly again. As if coordinated by a silent signal, huge numbers of wildebeest and zebra amass at Paradise Crossing, ready to resume their long march back to the Serengeti. Well fed and rested, they are ready for the journey. Once one animal enters the water, chaos reigns, as more and more force their way in behind each other. Strong currents sweep many downstream, tangling them within the branches and roots of fallen trees. Separated from the herd, they are easy targets for the crocs. Top Crossing, renowned for its single exit, becomes congested, muddy and slippery. Soon the river is heaving with black bodies trapped against sheer banks. Mayhem and chaos result. Scores are drowned or trampled, spines snapped by terrified and crazed hooves, desperate for escape. Unceremoniously, the river accepts the dead, wounded, and dying. Hundreds are lost, but in the multitude, it is nothing. Downstream, below the rapids, crocodiles collect the carcasses. As if tired of the hunt, a crocodile releases a straggler. Scenes such as this are as old as the migration itself. It is the river, in fact, which is the great predator. Efficiently it removes the old, sick, and the weak, allowing the strongest genes to be passed on to future generations. After the disastrous top crossing, the wildebeest seem to sense that middle crossing may be a better option. However, another hazard is waiting. 3 lionesses from the Paradise Pride are lying in ambush. This cooperative kill demonstrates the advantage of numbers. has been a good year for the Paradise Pride, but once the wildebeest are gone, hunting will become more difficult. Middle crossing, the wildebeest find conditions ideal. The crocodiles are bloated from yesterday's crossing and barely notice the departing masses. For the time being, the primeval carnage is over. Engorged, land predators are not prepared to expend any further energy and merely watch the passing procession. The choice of a crossing place is often as mysterious as the migration itself. The ease of this middle crossing makes one wonder why they even attempt to cross at places like Top Crossing, where steep banks and tiny exits are potential for mass drowning. Their return journey to the Ngorongoro crater is only 193 kilometers as the crow flies. But with their wanderings, they will have traveled some 2,500 kilometers. For millions of years, the migration has survived everything that the natural world has thrown at it: drought, flood, and disease. But recently, it has come under threat from a relative newcomer, the super predator, man. Man has destroyed and continues to demolish some of the most productive ecosystems known. Will this great wildebeest migration survive him, or will it be added to the dusty pages of history? It is one of the greatest natural wonders of the world. It is a spectacle of awesome proportions, totally unique to our planet. It deserves the greatest protection we as human beings can bestow upon it.